In this video, I will show you how I painted this sliced pumpkin pie in watercolor. I used a watercolor block from Bao Academy, cold pressed, 300 GSM and 100% cotton. The size of my paper is 7 by 10 inches. I flipped the outline over and scribbled on the drawing using a pencil that my son is using in school. If you do this, you'll need a medium to dark pencil like HB, but do not use 2B or darker than that. B pencil can smudge and can ruin your watercolor painting. I use 4H pencil in my watercolor projects, but for scribbling at the back of the outline, I use an ordinary pencil. I also use 4H pencil whenever I use a light pad to transfer my drawing to a loose sheet of watercolor paper. I found this beautiful looking pumpkin pie in Unsplash, and this printable outline is free for download. Check the description box below if you want to try painting this pumpkin pie, or you may draw freehand. It's up to you. I used a 4H pencil to darken the pencil lines a little bit because it was too light that I couldn't see the details of the lines. I checked the outline drawing at the top to see if I missed anything. That's the purpose of taping the outline drawing on one side. The tape prevented my outline drawing from moving around while I was tracing, so I could always see where I was. I added another line below the shadow of the plate. This time it was a freehand drawing. Before painting, I will mask the drawing using a masking fluid. I use graphic gum. Masking fluid is used to cover temporarily or mask a part of the painting we would like to prevent from adding paint. I also use an old synthetic brush and a liquid dish soap in a jar. Before applying the masking fluid, I dip my brush to the liquid dish soap. This process can help prevent ruining the brush. As a tip, do not use an expensive brush with the masking fluid.
For that, I have here the masking fluid beside me. Okay, and the dish soap. So I have my masking fluid here. I put a little bit in the cap. I have here my dish soap. So I dip my brush first in the dish soap and then masking fluid. I will apply this into the areas that I want to preserve. I use a brush this time so that I can cover the big parts of the areas that I would like to preserve, because I will be painting the background first. Dish soap, I apply the dish soap again, and then remove the excess, and then masking fluid again. Dish soap, remove the excess, and then masking fluid.
When I ran out of masking fluid on my brush, I rinsed the brush with liquid dish soap, removed the excess water, and got masking fluid. I repeated this process until I covered the entire drawing. I let the masking fluid dry naturally. I didn't use a heat gun or hair dryer because the heat would destroy the masking fluid and the watercolor paper. While waiting for the masking fluid to dry completely, I rinse my brush with dish soap to remove the excess masking fluid. Then I rinse the brush with just water to bring the shape of the brush up. Using a brush and applying masking fluid is for big areas only.
Okay, so I will be painting the background first. So I have here 2 cups of clean water. I will do wet on wet. I will be using Art Secret flat brush. I have here also Princeton Neptune round size 8, and I will be also using a small quill. This is from Raphael Petit Gris. I will be using 3 colors for the background. So for the top, I will be using cobalt blue and indigo. And for below, I will be using burnt umber. So I will also mix these colors. So I'll have cobalt blue. I will mix this first. I will have 2 mixes. One is dark and one is lighter. So this would be the darker. And then I will have also indigo. I will also have, yeah, a little indigo and there also lighter and darker indigo. I also have mixed with cobalt blue. And there you go. And I will have some burnt umber. I have burnt umber there, and some would be, I will mix it with blue for grayish tone. There you go. I will put some cobalt blue here. I will be doing wet on wet. I will be using also another jar here of clean water. That's why it is better if we have always clean water. We have 2 cups of clean water before painting. So I will be painting section by section. So I'll be painting the top first, like the upper left corner. Okay, and there you go. So I will just let the water absorb the paint. I'll also put water on the side already, on the right side. Okay, I'll just let the paint bleed and mix in my palette. Okay. So there, I will get this lighter one. Okay, so I will leave like a space at the corner. I remove the excess water because it's too watery. I leave my paint there, and then I will leave some colors or some areas round. So this would be like a bouquet effect, bouquet background. So there you are. So I will leave some areas there that is unpainted. Okay, so I wet my underbrush here. This is just clean water, and then I will remove the excess water using the towel. That's why I always have my towel on my right side, because I am right-handed, so it will be easy for me to mm, dab my. It will easy for me to dab my brushes. Please have my towel on the right side. Okay, so I did a circular motion to lift the colors, and I have here a darker color of blue, and there you go. So background should not be bothering. Okay. I will add some darker color on this side, and we'll have some unpainted area there. There you go. If it's too dry, I wash it again, and then with the excess water. There you go. So I can soften the edge. Alright. I will need to soften this edge. It is drying, and it looks like it will make like a hard edge. So there you go. Lifting some colors there. So here it will make a hard edge, because I painted up to put water up to here only. So this part is still wet. I will paint this area later. Okay, so this area first. We'll get some indigo there. It's a different, what do you call this, sizes of circles. Okay, there you go. I will have soften some edges here. So this brush is damp. Okay, I'm lifting the colors. Okay, there you go. I will have indigo also on this area. It is almost dry, so I will just add some colors here. And then I will soften the edges. There we go. There should not be any hard edges. Right, so this area is still wet. I will get this mix of blue, it's better if you have different colors or shades of blue. I mean, it's better if you have different values of blue. You have a darker, you have lighter. Okay, there we go. And get some color here. I will soften this edge. That looks like it will be and a dark hard edge. So there you go. I'm lifting some colors, making circles. As you can see, I always dab my brush on my right side. Okay, I still have paint in this brush. Okay, I will get my flat brush and I will paint on this area. Okay, with blue. Okay, so just making this with just water. Let the water absorb. I'm letting the paper absorb the water. So there you go. I am just painting with water right now. So this area, it looks like it will make a cauliflower there. So I am painting this with whatever left in my brush right now. And then I'm going to soften the edges. This area is about to dry. It is hot today and it's a very sunny morning, so my paper is quick to dry. I have my window open on this side, on the right side. There we go. So we'll get some cobalt blue here. I'm going to drop some colors. Okay, so this area is about to dry. I'm going to fix it right away to avoid the hard edges. Softening it. I'm going to get some mix of indigo and a little bit of the burnt umber. This area is about to dry. So I painted on top of the ice cream, but it's okay because I masked this area so it won't be disturbed. So even if I put paint on top of it, it will be fine. There you go. I'm still adding some paint on this area even if it's about to dry, but I am just going to soften the hard edges. I'm just adding some paint to darken the colors because if it's drying and it shows that is already the colors are drying light, I'm adding just a little bit of paint. So this is my consistency of my paint is from tea to coffee consistency. Okay, so this area first. Okay. Alright, and then going to lift the colors. This brush holds a lot of water and paint because this is a squirrel brush. Okay, so there I am going to add some paint here. This area is still wet. I'm going to add darker value of indigo. So there, I am going to paint up to here only with the blue because this side I will the bottom part I will paint it with brown and gray because this part is table. So there I will I am softening the edges here that is about to dry with hard edge. So I am cleaning it up. And this side too. This side is still dry, so I will wash it with clean water. I like doing wet on wet because it helps me to paint more. It helps me to correct my mistakes whenever I had mistakes. So there. So this side is about to dry. I'm going to soften this and there we go. Okay, so this area is still wet. I let the paint, I just let the paper to absorb the water. So, oh my goodness. Alright, there you go. So I am painting on this area. I'm going to soften the edges here. It's about to dry. Okay. So there I will get some blue mixed there. So this is darker. So I have like big circles and small circles. Okay, background. Okay. Okay, I will get darker color here. Okay, I will soften this area. Okay, this part also. I think I will add some darker shades of blue on some areas later on. So painting this area a little bit darker. Okay, there you go. So while this area is the wet, I am adding some darker value of indigo. Indigo, and I will still soften some edges of this area. I think this brush, but I think the background is pretty good enough. Even if it is light, I want my I want my food to pop up more. Okay, here we go. Okay, now I am going to paint this area with brown. So in this area, I'm just going to paint it with brown. I will drop some colors first over the brown, and then later on I will add details on the brown area, or this is the wood area. I will add some browns and gray mixture of my burnt umber and cobalt blue. So this is it. Okay. There you go. So it is lighter. It doesn't have to be dark. It's okay. I will add also dark color here on this side. I will make this part darker because this would be the shadow of this plate, a bit lighter on some areas. There you go. So I mix only cobalt blue and burnt umber. also have gray in this area. I will soften the edge here so it will have like a smooth transition of blue and gray. It won't leave like hard edge on that side. There we go. So making sure that all areas are wet with paint. Put darker on this side. So here. So this area doesn't have any bokeh effect because bokeh effect, it doesn't apply to whatever is near you. Alright. There we go. There we go. So some areas still darker, like this part, and lighter on this side, but a little bit darker on the edge because that's where our plate is. There we go. And I will just let this dry. Let me just soften the edge here. Okay, so I will let this painting dry. I will leave it alone for a few minutes.
I use a hard eraser to remove the dried masking fluid by rubbing it off gently. This hard eraser is one of the ways to remove the dried masking fluid. This eraser is not mine, it's my son's. You may also use a rubber cement pickup or masking fluid eraser, but this eraser works fine for me. I also use a bigger brush to remove the excess and tiny dried masking fluid. As much as possible, I do not use my fingers to remove masking fluid. My hands may have some leftover paint and oils that can ruin my painting. I made sure the masking fluid was removed and my paper was ready for the next part of the painting.
Okay, for the colors, for the shadows, I will be using cobalt blue. This is cobalt blue. For the ice cream, I will have Naples yellow mixed with John Brilliant. I have also raw sienna. For the bread, I have raw sienna and yellow ochre. This has more yellow ochre than raw sienna. I have also red and raw sienna. There we go. I will be painting the shadows first using blue. So this would be wet on dry. It is just, I will brush the paper first. So I will paint first the shadow area. I'm starting with the creamy sauce here, or creamy filling.
As I paint the shadows, I consistently look into the reference photo on my phone so I can zoom in and out. You can see the link to the reference photo in the description box below. I continued painting and I speeded up the video 3 times and zoom in so it can see closely as I painted.
So painting on the dark areas or the shadow areas only. So I'm using this blue for painting the shadows.
If you find this video helpful, kindly tap the like button. If you want to see videos like this, consider subscribing and make sure you have the bell notification on so you'll be notified if I upload a new video. I painted the shadows first this time, but I will come back later with a detailed instruction, so hang on tight and paint with me. If you find this video helpful, kindly tap the like button. If you want to see videos like this, consider subscribing and make sure you have the bell notification on so you'll be notified if I upload a new video. I left the painting to dry for a few minutes. Once the first layer was dry, I added more colors to the painting on the second layer.
Now I'm going to paint the first layer of the ice cream. Okay, so for this ice cream on top, I will be using the mix of Naples Yellow and John Brilliant. Okay, so this is it. So I will paint the first layer. This would be wet on dry. So my paper is dry when painting this. Okay, but I am careful also painting, especially the sides. Okay, and the painting just move the bead around to avoid those hard edges. Okay, there you go. So there are some parts that are very, very light, like when the light is touching, or the light is touching the ice cream, especially this area, and some parts of the ice cream that doesn't have any blue color or shadows. I'm just adding colors on the areas that has shadows. Make sure the first layer is totally dry before painting this layer, so the paper, oh, so the paint won't bleed with each other and you won't make green. Okay, there we are. I am adding more color, saturated color on the areas that has the shadows. So that is where I painted the blue. Okay, my paper is still wet this time. Okay, but some of the areas of the ice cream are already dry. I will just leave that, paint this area or in this part that is red, and for that I will be using yellow ochre and raw sienna. And this is it. So this would be still wet on dry. I won't do wet on wet because it will bleed to each other. Okay, and of course let's try to avoid going out of the line. Okay, I went out of the line this part, but there. My consistency of my watercolor is tea to coffee consistency. But there are some like ice cream in this area, okay, like in this fork, but I will paint that later on. I will just finish painting this area with yellow ochre and raw sienna. This actually has more yellow ochre than raw sienna. Okay, I will paint this area. I will add more color on those shadows, but of course I will let this dry and I will add more saturated color later on. But for now, I'm just adding the paint like on dry. I painted this on dry because I do not want the colors to bleed out. I am very careful on the on adding the colors because you don't want the colors to went out of the line or bleed with each other. Okay, so it's a little saturated, so I rinse my brush and then I move the paint. Okay, something around. Okay, there we go. So this area that has also some part of the bread. And this area too. Okay, and this area as well. Okay, there you go. We'll add some part here as well, but I will be painting this area with raw sienna. So we got the raw sienna. Okay, I will paint the raw sienna in this area. So this is the area that has red. Again, with tea consistency of raw sienna. When we say tea consistency, it has more water than paint. This is the area of the pie um, that is called, that is the top of the bread or the pie that is crunchy and crunchy. So there you go. This is just the first layer, but later on I will build the colors. I will paint also some part of sienna here. So this is the area of the pie that is the bottom of the pie. So here. I will add some more saturated color here. So by this time, it is already second layer on this area. And when you add dark color, it will help the lighter color of the other parts of your painting to pop up more, like the ice cream area. Okay, I will add more saturated color in this area as well. Okay, but it's too wet. I'm just going to let it dry, and then I will add another layer. I will soften this area because I went out of the line, went out of the ice cream part. Okay, now this time I will paint I will let this area dry. I will go here. Okay, so here it has the filling and the ice cream. I will paint the ice cream part first. So we get the John Brilliant mixed with Naples yellow. So I will paint some area here, that is the ice cream area. Okay, there we go. And the ice cream. Okay, and this painting, it looks delicious and I would like to eat it. Okay, if I only have the magic um, to make this real and eat it. Okay, there you go. There, and some part here that has ice cream too. But now I will paint the filling, so we'll get this mix of red with raw sienna. I'll paint in this area first. There we go. more here. So I have more saturated color of the mix of sienna and red here, this area. I will add more here as well. It shows it has some feeling. It's okay if that will lead to other colors or will look transparent. That will be fine. Okay, so these shadow areas has that more of the feeling, and this one too, this area as well. I forgot to mix cobalt blue and raw sienna, but later on I will mix raw sienna and cobalt blue. That will be for the spoon. Okay, so these are the areas with filling. So I put this very carefully. But of course, I can add more colors on those areas that has shadows. There we go. So I added more here. Okay, I forgot to paint this area, so I will paint this with raw sienna. This is the top part of the pie here. But later on, I will add more saturated color on this area. Okay, I will check if the other layers are dry. Okay, so this area is dry. I will paint first this area that is like the bread area. So I will get a mix of yellow ochre and raw sienna. This time it is more saturated. It is already on the milk consistency, but as much as possible it is not watery. I left this area and I just painted the top so that it will show like shadows and the highlights below it. As this time my brush is almost dry, it is damp with the color, but what I will do is I will just add more color on the red area. And so I'm painting this time like the shadows area. I'm just dabbing it. My brush is almost dry, it's damp, but I'm adding paint on the area that has shadows and just dabbing to add a little bit of texture already. So there, I'm just keep on painting on some areas. This is random. I'm painting randomly. I cannot follow the reference photo anymore because it's too small. But yeah, if you look at the bread, there are some parts that has holes with darker color. So that's it. And I'm going to add more paint here. Since this is the bread area, there we go. But of course, I will leave some area unpainted in this part. I'm just adding colors on the shadow area or where I painted the blue. That is where the shadows are here. So okay, there you go. So just adding color on the shadow areas. Okay, now I will paint the filling. So for the filling, I will use this red and raw sienna. Okay, so it is more saturated color than the first layer. So I'm painting the area that has shadows. So this would be like third layer. This is the filling. So I'm painting the parts that has shadows. This one too. So it's very, very helpful if you have a brush that is pointed tip. It will also helpful if you are using synthetic brush for this because it is a fluid and you don't need to have a very smooth or very soft brush, especially in painting details if you are painting this. A little bit of it has a little bit of detail. It has actually a lot of details, so it will be helpful if you are using synthetic brushes on in this area. Later on, I will use different brush that has more pointy tip. But for now, I'm just painting the areas with the filling. So right now I'm painting the filling with red and raw sienna. I'm adding more paint on the shadows area. Okay. Painting food. At first it is intimidating, but it's fun. It's fun to paint food because you will get to practice how to paint the details. If you would like to practice painting with details, you can try painting food and it will help you a lot. Okay, so there you go. I'm just softening some edge here. Now I will be painting the bread, so that will be just raw sienna. Okay, so we're painting more saturated color. I will get more of raw sienna from my pan. Seems like it is too light. So this time it is milk consistency. It means that it has more paint than water than on our first layer when painting this. So still wet on dry. Actually, I'm glazing. When we say glazing, it means that we are painting on top of another layer. So there we go. I will rinse my brush, remove the excess water, and soften this area that will look like it will be end of a hard edge. There you go. So I remove the excess water and I am going to run the color here, blend the colors here using the water that is left in my brush. So I'm adding more saturated colors on the areas that it has shadows, and I will leave some areas unpainted, but just showing the first layer that I painted earlier. But I'm painting on some areas that has more shadows and more color, like the edges. And I went out of the line. That is so annoying, but yeah, it's accidents happen, but it's very small, so it won't be. I know that it doesn't look like it will affect my whole painting. It's just tiny part here, but it's fine. Okay, so there. So this is raw sienna. Okay. I'm adding some colors on the shadows area. This part too. This is the red part. Continuation of that. Okay. There and this one as well. This one is the top part that needed to be painted on. There, of course, the part here, some areas here that are dark, I am glazing on it. So by this time, your brush should not be too wet. It is damp as much as possible. It's not watery, and there is no dripping of watery paint on your brush. I will go back to the ice cream later, but I will just finish the pie itself first. Okay, so if you could see, my painting or the ice cream on my painting is slowly popping up more. And if you notice, I am also painting carefully. Okay, not having too much water. I know that painting food can be intimidating, but give it a try. If you don't give it a try, you won't know, and it's better if you go out of your comfort zone. Here we go. So I just squeeze. Okay. So I hope that is showing more of the ice cream. I will add more paint on the shadow areas of the ice cream using John Brilliant and Nichols Yellow here. Okay, just tapping my brush to add more texture. That's why it is good if you are using a cold press paper for this kind of painting, because it will give you texture easier than the hot press. For the hot press, you will need to build the texture by adding more layers. But cold press is already textured, so it's easy to build some colors and layers and texture. Like I like this painting. I like painting use like beach scenes on the cold press. This is easy to build up the sand and to paint the sand. Okay, there you go. So this time I will mix raw sienna and blue together so I can have like gray color. I forgot to mix this color, so there you go. I will have blue and raw sienna to mix gray. And I added water also. I added lots of water to build that gray color. And we didn't want to have too dark, so I added a lot of water. This time I'm going to paint the spoon. Okay, so remove the excess water because it's too watery. Okay, and paint it on the spoon here. I will use the same color for some shadows below of the spoon and on the plate. So this is just the first layer of the spoon. I focus on the food, painting the food first before painting the spoon and the saucer or the plate. Okay, it helps me a lot if I paint by parts or by section and not painting everything in one go, because it helps me to focus more and have more detailed painting. There you go. So that's the spoon. I will get a little bit of darker value of the gray. Okay, it seems like I went out of the line in this area. That's too bad. Okay. I will paint also some of the color of the plate here. It's very, very light gray because the plate is actually white, and it's not totally white. It has actually color. So I'm painting very, very carefully on the sides because we will paint only like the shadow areas of the plate itself. We won't paint the entire plate, just the areas it has shadows. Some of the areas of the plate are white. This is the bottom of the plate. This is at the bottom, so I'll just paint the shadow of this area to help it pop up a bit more. Okay, so when you do this, when you paint the shadow area to pop the light colors or the white areas, that is what you call negative painting, or you are means that you are painting around the subject. You are not painting on the subject itself, but you are painting around it. That's what you call negative painting. Some of our areas here, or shadow areas on the leaf, and here on the pie itself. So if my light is here, I have shadows here. There we go. So I'm going to soften some parts of my brush stroke so it won't leave hard edges. There you go. I will mix more of cobalt blue and rock sienna as I run out. It is the reason that I use a ceramic plate because it helps me to mix colors easily. That is the same or very close to the one I mixed previously. Okay, so there we go. I have paint in this area as well. This is where would be some shadows that I forgot painted earlier. Okay, but anyway, let's do some fix. Okay, there we go. And since this is the plate, I'm going to soften this part and also add more color here, but I will add more color on the spoon as well to show that there is light reflecting and the shadows also reflecting on the spoon. Okay. There, so I hope that you can see the spoon better this time, and you can see the shape of the spoon. Okay, I will let this area dry first so I can focus on the food. So this is the plate area. I'm still painting on around it. Okay, there you go. Alright, now I will go back to the ice cream area and I will paint the details now. This I am using a synthetic brush. This side is for synthetic round brush from Heavenly Paintings. Okay, so I'm getting this mix of John Burlock and Naples Yellow. This is not watery. I am dabbing it to the ice cream. I'm dabbing it to make texture on the ice cream. So our ice cream won't look flat, but it has texture. Like when you look at if you look at the ice cream, there are like some part that has holes. That is what actually I'm doing. So part here as well, because it has ice cream. This part as well. So my brush here is not too wet. it's like almost dry, so I am using a dry brush technique. So my consistency of my paint is milk consistency that has more paint than water. And I'm adding also more colors on the shadows areas of the ice cream as well. So I'm continuing dabbing and adding more paint and texture on the areas that has shadows. So this is like almost dry. Let's paint some details. I will also get more of raw sienna and red. This would be for the filling. So there, it is more reddish this time. It's more saturated. So I will paint this area first. This is where we can glaze. We are painting on the shadow areas to make this more painting more delicious. Okay, there we go. So we'll add that filling. Okay, so just adding more color on the shadow area here. I'm adding a little paint on this area below. I'm still looking at the reference photo this time. So some part of the eye of the pie that has more filling and shadows, that is what I'm painting right now. You don't have to copy every detail you can see in the pie. I know it is overwhelming to paint some details like this, but remember, this is a painting, not a picture. You can simplify your painting what you can see. Okay, just adding more of color here to show that there are some feelings moving around. Okay. Here, so I'm adding more paint on the feeling here and here as well. So by this time, you should be able to see that this one is popping up more. And here, there is feeling in this area. And here. As you can see, I did not paint it flat, but I just added some colors. I left some areas that are unpainted, so it won't look flat. And just adding more of texture. That's why I use this brush. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to paint like the inner red area using the yellow ochre and raw sienna. So by this time, it is milk consistency and not too wet. So I am just dabbing and dabbing to show that there are some holes and texture shadows also on this pie. As you can see, I'm just using the tip of my brush, and I am not painting on everything. I just look at the reference photo where I can see that there are some like the bread. So here, this part that has more that has shadows, so I added more saturated color on that area. And just keep on tapping to show there are texture of the red. So just keep on tapping to show there is texture. This one as well, this part too. Here as well. So you can see it's not watery. My paint is not fluey. It's almost dry. There you go. Now this time I will get more of raw sienna and I will paint on the darker areas of the red itself. Look here. So I switch my brush to Princeton Neptune, the bigger brush this time. But I might switch to the other brush as well. It depends on what will happen on the front of my painting. But there we go. So I'm adding more color on the shadows on the crust of the top of the pie. Okay, I might smudge that area. And I forgot to paint from left to right. I don't know why. But there you go. I am painting on some shadow areas on this part. And here too. With the edge of the pie. Adding like more texture as well on the pie here. In this area as well. I am almost done. A little. And some part here. I think I would like to add more of color or shadow on the spoon because it's too blue. So I'll just add more color on just in the shadow areas. This spoon. Okay. There, and I will add some. Okay, I will dab a little bit on this area that I would like to show that it's red. So I will get this and dab a little on those area. Okay, I'm covering some part that I do not want to have more color, but there we go. I don't have my small brushes this time. Okay, I smudge a little bit, but it's fine. Just to show that if that is the area that has like crumbs, okay, so it's fine. Okay, so just a little dab to add some crumbs on the area of the plate. Okay. Let me see if I can add more shadows on the ice cream. Okay, like on this area. Okay. There we go. So this is my finished painting of the pumpkin pie. I hope you like this video and I'll see you on the next one.